Oh, here we go. Would you like to just go ahead and advertise something like straight to the camera if you're part of something that's ongoing, like Big Green City, for instance?
Yeah.
So,
No, I couldn't possibly. Big Grin City is a comedy club that I actually help co-run at the RADA Studios. It's on the last Thursday of every month, and the idea behind that was really to give comedians who are on the open mic circuit, who have been on there for a while and are kind of on the cusp and moving up to different things, a chance to have a longer set in a real club environment. It's still a real fun, warm environment, but it's a really, really lovely gig. If you go into the RADA website, RADA, and look for Big Grin City, then you'll find us and you will be welcome.
Jamie Comedy is every Tuesday and Thursday. Every Tuesday downstairs at the Royal George in Charing Cross Road, and every Thursday at Arch 1, which is just round the corner from Stirling, DLR in East London.
Comedy Cirque is every Tuesday in Shoreditch, downstairs in Cirque Bar, hosted by me, David Gersch, and DJ O'Stanfast. Lots of fun. Come on down and let's have a party.
Quantum Leopard, it is a pay what you like, bring your own booze, once a month, no kicking down, friendly, lovely, cuddly comedy night. It is at the Rag Factory just off London's trendy and exciting Brick Lane.
Laughter's the Best Tonic is my comedy brand. You can see the logo right here. And we started off in this room that you can see right here. It's a monthly show here, first Thursday of every month. We normally have 7 to 8 comics on.
And, I also have a podcast called The Midnight Hour Podcast, which Robbie will be on soon, so come and check that one out. That's all I can say. Oh, stay black, because that's the only thing that's important, really.
I'm part of a group called Plays of Our Lives, which does a story-based improv. And you can check us out at playsofourlives.com. playsofourlives.co.uk. I also write comedy with a friend of mine in America, and you can find some examples of that at questlabpodcasts.com.
I do a podcast that I've got a couple years into it now. It's called What's Wrong with Simon King, and it's a half-hour podcast that I do every week. Almost every week. Sometimes I miss a week, depending on if I'm moving from one country to another. But I basically it's an outlet for me. It's actually something that there's so many comedy podcasts out there. It's not really a comedy podcast. It's an outlet for me to talk about things that aren't necessarily stand-up comedy related, or sometimes I talk about comedy, but I talk about kind of issues, things that I want to discuss that don't have to be a punchline every minute. So that's What's Wrong with Simon King, and that's you get that on iTunes.
Yeah, I do a podcast. It's called We're Not Racist and We Love Gays. It's available on iTunes for free and Stitcher. We got to number 25 in the iTunes podcast charts. Got a regular cult following. We've done sell-out shows. We've got merchandise. We're on Twitter at WNRNWLG. We're Not Racist and We Love Gays.
The Rusty Quill Gaming Podcast, and the chap who's running it, Alex Newell, who's I can't remember if he's director or producer of Casual Violence, the prominent sketch group, is the controlling brain behind it. He wanted loads of comedians in, just kind of pep it up and make it exciting. Not much background with the RP stuff myself, but it's been super fun, and that if you are into your geeky, exciting things, then that is very much the thing for you. So hunt it down on iTunes. It is the Rusty Quill Gaming Podcast.
We've got Luton Comedy at the Luton Hat Factory, the comedy bar. Come down. It's the third Friday of every month. Open mic. We have 7 acts and then a headliner. Yeah, and also that's £5. Also there's a pro night, which is the first Friday of every month.
So Verbatim Comedy is at Lunar Lounge, first Thursday of every month. I have fantastic lineups, not bragging, not tooting my own horn here, but I book brilliant acts. So there might be a pro headliner with open spot people. Jake Pickford is my MC. He makes it a very enjoyable night. It's a great little location, little basement bar, perfect for comedy. So get your butt down there.
So so go to my website, katesmurthwaite.co.uk, and I have a mailing list there. You can sign up with your email address, and you'll find out what's going on. I write articles, I make little videos and send them around sometimes, and then I'm touring all the time in the UK and overseas. So once you're on the mailing list, then perhaps I'll be coming near you sometime, and you can come along to a show, and that would be awesome.
Okay, I do a show called Anarchist Cook, which I'm doing in Edinburgh, and I hope that I'll be doing it elsewhere. In fact, through Edinburgh, I'm doing Rotterdam Comedy Festival, so that's nice. And it's essentially, having been a stand-up for as long as I have, spend a lot of time in hotel rooms, and I've devised ways of making food in the hotel room using the appliances that are in there, so irons, kettles, trouser press and so on. And in this show, over an hour of stand-up comedy stroke illustrated lecture, I make a 3-course meal which the audience gets to try at the end. And hopefully by the time you watch this, it will be maybe in a theatre in London or in a theatre in a town near you, and you'll want to come and see it. And if you want to find out more about it, you can go to anarchistcook.info.
There's my show, Burt Lancaster pierced my hymen when I was 11. I know, laugh, go on, laugh, it's a true story. But it is, surprisingly enough, it's very funny. It has its dark moments. You know, when you write a comedy show, you're supposed to have the sad bit. My bit was really sad. But the rest of it is very funny. So I hope you'll come and see it. I'm doing it at the Leicester Festival, at the Brighton Festival, Brighton Fringe Festival, and at Manchester Women's Festival.
Watch out for the video to Feed the Ducks coming out. We haven't started filming it yet. Me and Gatis Candace, weird Latvian.
I think it would be my website, because on my website I post everything. You know, so it's tamerkattan.com is my website. And I have everything up there. Like,
anyone in London, keep an eye out for me in Trafalgar Square or Leicester Square. I am usually there doing a street show. Just keep an eye out for a yellow rope on the floor.
Come to Ellis and Rose's Brainwash. It's usually the last Wednesday of the month, usually at Backyard Club in Bethnal Green. And we usually have really good acts. We got Harry Hill at the next one, I think Tony Law at the one after that.
Hold that. Where are the pens? I'm sure you're right. I can't hear anything. Keep going. This is a record! Alright, that'd be a good time to stop now. Stop now, Gareth, stop now. Kettle, please. Gareth, you've got enough.
What to you are the most fundamental aspects of an open mic night?
Essentially, I think it's professionalism. It's music stage. Compare who's very. I think actually Compare who is in control of their emotions, makes people feel comfortable. It's funny, warm, welcoming. It doesn't put too much stress on the comedian. The night itself needs to have a stage. It needs to be chairs. It's just basic structuring of a night, and also. It's quiet. Essentially, I think that's the main thing. It needs to be a quiet room with no other external noise to distract the comedian.
You need a good promoter that's actually spent some time advertising the gig, because there's pretty much nothing worse than turning up at a gig and playing to just other comedians. Like, I love other comedians, but they do kind of sit there in silence for most of it, thinking about their own jokes, or going, oh yeah, no, that's good, man. It's a good joke. And you're like, that's great, but I need you to laugh so that I know whether it actually works when I use it with normal people. So a lot of these nights now, for open mic nights especially, it's bringers now, which you have to bring someone with you to watch, which, however annoying it can be for some acts to organise, is actually good, because at the end of the day you have an audience of normal people, at least.
The best nights I've done are nights that have got heart, and they tend to be the nights that gather their own following over time. So they're nights that have mostly been running for a few years, and they would have just gathered an audience in that sort of field of dreams, if you build it they will come sort of way, in that they're not necessarily the nights that have the most promotion, but they're the nights that have been just going and sort of have their own aesthetic and have their own thing going on.
You can't please everybody all the time, but have a bloody good go. I just want people to enjoy their experience, and we all go through the phases where we try something new and it fails dreadfully, we come off and feel bad, and you just want something to go, oh, don't worry about it, and carry on. And also the audience, I don't want them to have to sit through loads of people just talking about, kind of doing personal abuse all the time. I like to have a mixed vary of comedians, different types of social classes, genders and all that type of thing. He says generalising, but I try to get a good mix of different people with different viewpoints and different standings. So.
A friendly atmosphere, but I don't know how you can really guarantee that. I think a lot of it actually is to do with the space itself. This one looks nice in Arch 1. I'm advertising someone else's night now, but it looks like quite a nice, cosy, sort of intimate room, which I imagine will lend a slightly friendly atmosphere to proceedings.
And make your night audience-centric. It's got to be about the audience. I'm not a lover of this whole attitude of, oh well, you know, if they don't like it, they can leave. Well, actually, you know, your job is to entertain the audience. The audience's job is not to like you.
The audience, for starters. Need an audience, need a microphone. Don't necessarily need a microphone. Need the audience you have. Do you need a room, you know, with as least kind of distractions as possible? That's the demon of comedy. Saying that, well, it's Comedy Circle, where there's toilets in the back of the room, there's a stairway there, and the bar girl comes in the middle and gets drinks already. We usually need to try and build an environment to have a fun time in.
Dedicated room that isn't just like a roped off corner of a noisy bar. You need a dedicated room. You need a PA system that actually works. You need like no ambient noise. You need to not have background music. It is surprisingly distracting. Just having even the slightest thing, it destroys any attempt to create a mood, and people just don't laugh as much. It's just a thing. Those are 3 absolute essentials.
But I think the main thing is communication for me. I try to, as you know, ask you a month before the gig, or 2 months before the gig, a month before the gig, 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 days, 1 day, and then on the day of the gig. And even then, still, people cancel on the day of the gig. So I think communication is key, so that you can make sure you've got people in. So you can ask people like tonight, for example, man, I've managed to get 3 acts really late who are really good, and just because they're friends, man, they've just helped me out, and I think that communication is key.
I think it's something where people go just to have a night out and just to have a bit of a laugh, and generally they want acts to succeed, and most people don't want to heckle. They've come to listen to what someone has put together. So alright, you know, there's this comedian, I want to listen to what the comedian has to say. You know, I want to hear their jokes. And so you want an atmosphere where that can happen without people getting too rowdy, without it turning nasty, without, you know, people just walking out or whatever.
So waiting sentence when he escaped from a London hospital on Tuesday. He had earlier admitted charges of causing criminal damage across South London's railway network. Arrested by police in October after he was spotted at Camberwell Green bus garage. Now, you think about it, you think, who's admiring his work? You know what I mean? Who's spotted him and gone, "You're the shitter! Loving your work, sir, well done." It followed 22 incidents on trains bound for London Bridge and Waterloo, on which human excrement was found smeared over the seats and tables. I'm surprised it weren't Romford, you know. 3-month campaign of smearing human excrement inside the carriages posed a serious risk to public health. Of course it did. And cost more than 20 grand to clean up. What were they cleaning it up with? £20 notes? £50 notes? Fucking hell. He'd also been charged with possessing an offensive weapon. His arsehole. No.
What makes you want to rebook an act?
Oh, when I'm hosting a show myself.
Yeah, sorry, that's it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. There is, you know, I mean, what I like, and this is just me, I like acts that are kind of a bit unique, and I like acts that say something interesting to my audiences, and I like acts that are fun, and I mean, there isn't really. I wish I could like sort of go here 2, 3, 4, but I like an act that I can trust really, and you know, I think there's a lot of acts out there that are trying so desperate to be original that they take a lot of risks, and that's great, and you should, but you need to take sort of calculated risks so that you're not, you know, just kind of stood there looking like an idiot. I think there's a sort of idealisation of risk taking in comedy, and you know, this idea that you should always challenge and say something controversial, and then what you end up is like, I'm going to go on stage without any punchlines, look at me, I'm just going to swear at people and tell them they're awful. And you're like, this is a comedy club, mate. Like, you know, how much ground are you really breaking? Answer, none.
Generally, the people I want to book and therefore rebook are people who make me laugh in a way that I haven't before. Like, not necessarily people who make me laugh a lot, but people who are genuinely different and innovative are people who I want to share with any audience I'm going to bring in.
We deliberately did set out to be as quirky, as different as we can. So there were some acts like yourself who was there every week because we felt it was important to be, not alternative, that sounds shitty, but something a bit different. We wanted it to be a showcase for comedians that were different from the norm, rather than just mainstream, you know, jokes about unexpressed items in packing area and stuff like that. So we would choose somebody weird over somebody mainstream.
Like we get stand-up comedians onto our night, but that's usually to just kind of, no, that's not fair. But it kind of helps settle things to a degree, because we like to book really mad acts. We like to be really mad, but it's actually quite helpful sometimes if there's a little bit of more normal person and a microphone kind of act.
Certain comedians, they never have a bad night. Even some comics, they come off stage after making the room roar with laughter, and they'll be like, "Oh, that was a terrible gig." It's like, dude, if that's a terrible gig for you, I'm booking you for every show that I have, because if that's terrible, you're fantastic. Like, yeah, just be nice as well. There's a lot of backstabbing douchebaggery in comedy, which I didn't expect when I got in. I was like, oh, everybody will just want to make everyone laugh. It'll be a lovely thing. No, it's an entertainment business.
Right? But this is the thing. This is the difference between where I live and where you guys live. Right? Where I live, we don't give a shit about snow. You guys get 2 inches of snow and everything shuts down, from like businesses to transport to everything, man. Like, we had 24 inches of snow in 18 hours, and everybody was still at work. Okay? Like, my sister sent me a fucking picture going like, you think it's fucking cold in London? A dude just skied down my road. The only time we bother about snow in Massachusetts is when you can't fucking find your car under it, alright? So you guys got it easy, man. But no, like, thank you for letting me do comedy, my cool little get-rich-slow scheme. It's working fucking perfectly, man.
What marketing techniques do you use?
The most effective one I found is word of mouth, but unfortunately you can't manufacture that.
I use Facebook, Twitter, Time Out. I think it just looks good. It doesn't necessarily do anything at this moment in time. I'm wanting to do like a press release to try and get some reviewers down, people that write for sort of local newspapers and things to come down as well, just as an invite to get them to come along to the night. I've contacted like local festivals. There was a Leytonstone Festival. I contacted them and had my night promoted in their programme, online as well as the published one.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, make promo photos, whack them on there. I'm working on YouTube. I think there is enough YouTube content in London of comedy nights on YouTube. I think there is an opportunity to fill that.
So I just decided, well, I'll do my own PR, and I was so diligent. I mean, I got the list of sort of every contact from edfringe.com and emailed everyone, personalised every email with a press release. I did a little showreel video of the show and sent that to them. I came up with, I got sponsorship from a local fishmongers and local bakers, so I sent stuff to the local press about that as a bit of a story, and it's loaves and fishes they were giving me, so there was that whole biblical angle as well.
The main thing that we have as a marketing tool is putting on such a good, such an affordable, such a lovely, friendly night that people want to come back and do. It's also not so often that it's a nice event, like, oh, Quantum Leopard's on this weekend. Oh, lovely, I haven't been there for, 3 to 4 weeks. That's an appropriate stopping distance, you know what I mean? People can't get sick of it if you're only doing it once a month.
Reminders, but I also promote outside of the comedy community, and I think that's the biggest mistake that a lot of people in the open mic circuit do, is that they just send all of these invites to people within the open mic circuit, and the people in the open mic circuit are either gigging themselves, or if they're not in that gig, kind of not interested.
It's normally £5 entrance, but tonight I've made it free entrance because it's in August and it's really sunny outside, and in order to drag them people in, I think that's the way forward. It's also running it a bit like an Edinburgh show, so you pay what you think the show is worth, so we pass a bucket round at the end, you pay what you think the show is worth. Once I've paid for the expenses like the room and stuff, then I can give people money back towards their travel.
When we were doing douche, we'd have listings on local websites, Haringey and Lion, and we'd also chuck a load of posters up. All the shops and bars in the area, they were quite good about letting us put posters up.
We did the biggest clapper trophy, which this is a bit of silliness, but this is awarded to the best audience member. We also have G&B t-shirts, which we'll usually give a couple of them out. One will be given out to whoever I get out to saw in half or whatever, doing a bit of magic at the beginning of the second half, and the other one might go to just somebody else at random in the audience. And these are just ways of making the audience feel as though they're getting something. That little trophy, that gets them to come back.
Hats and tops. I have merchandise. I just wear them to gigs, sell them at shows. Yeah man, I thought I was in, but bro, this woman turned out to be 70 years old. But bro, anyone in my situation knows beggars can't be choosers. Yeah man, just a question. Do you guys like slapstick comedy? Yeah man, that's good. I'm probably gonna fall over. A couple of months ago, I was gigging in New York City. Yeah man, it was amazing. Yeah man, I was a bit scared though. I thought I was gonna get shot. For 2 reasons. I can't run away. And I can't put my hands up.
The thing is, ladies and gentlemen, this has voodoo qualities, and it... Oh, Jesus! Oh, fuck! We'll be fine.